Hello, my name is Talisha Archambault and I am your health education specialist. This video is part of our Safety and Emergency Preparedness series, and in it we're going to discuss how fires occur, how to reduce fire hazards, and how to respond to a fire emergency. Fire requires three elements to occur: heat, fuel, and oxygen. If any of these elements are missing, a fire cannot happen, and if any of the elements are removed, a fire would be extinguished. Fire hazards that are common in the long-term care setting are supplemental oxygen use, smoking, the use of flammable liquids or oils, damaged electrical cords or equipment, and overloaded electrical sockets. These common fire hazards can be reduced in several ways. Regarding the fire hazard of oxygen use, areas where supplemental oxygen is used or stored should be labeled to alert others to this potential safety concern. Residents that use supplemental oxygen should not smoke while their oxygen is in use. Flames from candles or lighters should not be used in a long-term care facility, and especially not near areas where oxygen is used or stored. Do not use extension cords, damaged electrical cords, flammable liquids, or oil-based lubricants where oxygen is used. Regarding the fire hazard of smoking, ensuring that smoking is only allowed in designated smoking areas. Be sure that ashtrays are emptied often and that cigarettes are fully extinguished before leaving the smoking area. If your facility uses smoking aprons, be sure these are used for residents that need them at every smoke break. To address the fire hazard of flammable liquids or oils, be sure these items are used only according to the manufacturer's instructions and secured in the appropriate place when not in use. Rags or towels used with flammable liquids or oils should be laundered or disposed of immediately after use. Electrical equipment is a major fire hazard in a few ways. To avoid this hazard, regularly inspect electrical equipment and cords for damage or fraying. If this is ever observed, do not use the cord or equipment and immediately report this to your maintenance department for repair or replacement. Be sure to never overload an electrical outlet and only use power strips if these are inspected and approved by your maintenance department. In the event that a fire does occur, there are several important things to remember. The first is to remain calm, efficient, and confident. Emergencies are scary, but panic tends to lead to more panic, and this can result in dangerous mistakes. To remain confident and efficient in an emergency, it is important to be familiar with your facility's policy on responding to a fire. If you know what to do when an emergency occurs, you will be confident in how to keep your residents safe, and they will feel more confident in taking your direction. There are two important fire emergency acronyms that you need to know. The first is RACE, R-A-C-E. A few descriptions of this acronym are used in different healthcare facilities, but their meaning remains the same. It helps us to remember the steps for responding to a fire emergency. R stands for either rescue or remove. This means that our first action, if a fire is observed, is to rescue or remove a resident from the immediate area of danger. For example, if you walk into a resident's room and their trash can is on fire, your first action would be to get that resident out of the room. A stands for alert or alarm. This means that your next step is to get help. You can pull the nearest fire alarm station. Doing this automatically alerts the fire department. You or someone else closer to a phone should page the code for a fire to alert all staff in the building of the emergency. If you do not know the fire's location, but the alarm is sounding, you should look at the facility's fire panel to learn the location before paging a fire code. C stands for confine or contain. This means that you should cut off access to the area of the fire if it can not safely be extinguished. This is done by closing the door to the immediate area once it is evacuated. As you continue to evacuate, continue to confine or contain by closing more doors as more areas are evacuated. Never open a door to the area of a fire once it has been closed. This could result in an explosion or the fire spreading even faster. E stands for extinguish, escape, evacuate, or exit. This means that you should put out a small fire or you should begin getting residents to safety. Using the same example from before, if you walk into a resident's room and their trash can is on fire, you would immediately remove the resident, sound the alarm system, and then extinguish the fire. A portable fire extinguisher does not contain enough solution to put out a very large fire. If after immediately removing the resident and sounding the alarm system, the trash can fire has now caught the curtains and bed on fire, you would shut the door to the empty room and begin to evacuate the residents to a safe area. A large fire like this cannot safely be put out only using a portable fire extinguisher. The goal of a systematic evacuation of a healthcare facility is to get the most residents in the most danger to safety as quickly as possible. We meet this goal in two ways. First, we rescue the residents in the most immediate danger. In our previous example, this would be the residents in the hallway outside of the room on fire and the resident in the rooms on both sides of the room that is on fire first. Then we would evacuate farther and farther away from the danger zone. Second, we would get the most residents to safety. For this reason, we evacuate groups of our residents that can walk independently. Then those that require minimal assistance, such as transferring them to a wheelchair so that they can propel themselves, or pushing those already in wheelchairs to safety. And finally, we would evacuate those that require the most assistance in the safest ways possible. For example, if the resident is bedridden, it is acceptable to evacuate them in their bed. Your incident commander will provide further instructions at this point as to whether you should perform a full evacuation where all residents are assisted outside of the building and away from it, or whether the fire has been safely extinguished. Your incident commander will be your facility administrator if they are present, or your charge nurse if the administrator is not present. Once the fire department arrives, they become the incident commander, and you should follow their instructions. The second important fire safety acronym you need to know is PASS, P-A-S-S. This helps us remember how to properly use a portable fire extinguisher. P stands for pull. This means that you pull the pin from below the handle of the fire extinguisher. The pin looks like this. Secured to the extinguisher with a plastic loop. If it is, just pull hard and the loop will break. A stands for aim. This means that you should aim the nozzle of the fire extinguisher toward the base of the fire. If the base of the fire is its lowest point. The blue on this picture shows the base of the fire. And this picture shows a firefighter aiming at the base of a fire. The first S stands for squeeze. This means that you should squeeze the two parts of the extinguisher handle together like this. The second S stands for sweep. This means that you should sweep the spray from the extinguisher from side to side at the base of the fire until the can is completely empty. The acronyms of RACE and PASS are important to memorize before a fire occurs because these two procedures can save lives.